In this video, I'm going to show you 15 of the best tricks you can apply today in your Google Ads account that we recently learned from the 30 plus clients that we run Google Ads for. With this implementation, I promise you that you can make more profit and a higher return on investment on your Google Ads starting from today. I will show all implementations with a sample and the strategy behind it so you know exactly what you're doing. My name is Robin. I currently have 5 years of e-commerce experience, which I'm breaking down in videos like this. But without further ado, let's dive right into my screen so I can share all our e-commerce media buying strategies with you and you can make more profit starting from today. So there we are in my screen. Make sure to watch it until the end so you understand all 15 tips and tricks that you can implement today for your Google Ads account. These are all tips and tricks we applied on our clients as well, and therefore we know 100% that they are working in the current market. So without further ado, let's start with tip number 1. Tip number 1 is segmenting your campaigns. So what I mean by that is that you need to segment your campaigns by ad group and based by keywords. So let's say, for example, if you have a general store or a store with multiple product teams, you need to segment them by each campaign. So make sure to, for example, if you are selling kids, toys and fashion, to have them in separate campaigns, because in this way they will optimize by product on individual level in the different campaign. So for the best results here, you need to be as targeted as possible. So every campaign will optimize according to the product that are inside there in the same kind of niche. So this also means that you can bundle all kind of creatives in your campaigns as well as landing pages for certain collections or certain products if you are bundling them in the segmented campaigns. So now tip number 2, relevant keywords. So make sure you use as relevant keywords as possible in your headlines. In this way, Google really understands what kind of keywords to use in your descriptions that match actually with the products what you're selling. In this case, the quality score will be higher as well because you're simply like more relevant to the audience that is searching for this kind of keywords, right? So what Google also really picks up quite fastly is if people match the search term, and that's also in your headline. So they will know that your product or your ad is 100% relevant to them. And therefore you also increase the visibility compared to other competition that are simply not doing this, right? All right, there we are in step number 3, pin the relevant headings. So as I just said, you need to implement the keywords in the headings. And the step furthermore in this process is to pin them in a certain way. So this especially works in the beginning if you want to restrict the algorithm while they don't have so much data yet. So in the beginning you can mention the product name or the keyword, and then you can mention some benefits and some features after that pin. So the first pin will be number 1 with like the product name, for example, and the second and third and fourth and so on pin can be like a benefit or a feature of this kind of product. So you restrict the algorithm a little bit in the beginning to make sure you follow the right structure. And you can also make sure that it increases the click-through rate right here because it's mentioned in a good way, while the Google Ads algorithm, if you don't do it, can mix things up and therefore the readability can be less good if you do it yourself than in the algorithm, for example. So in the beginning, it's good to structure it. Later on, when you have more conversions, like 50, 100 conversions, you don't need to start with this implementation. It will be all done by the algorithm automatically. So that brings us to step number 4. Combine your Google Ads together with your Google Analytics, because Google Analytics is more for like audience data and Google Ads is more for conversion data. So especially if you combine them together, they learn from both directions and you make the algorithm much smarter than to let them optimize on an individual way. So in Google Ads, you have a tab in the settings and tools where you can select linked accounts, and there you can select your Google Analytics quite easily. And you can do the same way from your Google Analytics account towards your Google Ads account. Especially it's easy if you're already connected to the same Gmail account, so they will find directly. It's like 2 press of a button and this is done, right? So make sure you do that today as well, after all the tips and tricks that I'm going to explain here. And that brings us to step number 5, define primary conversions. So it's very important to restrict the algorithm of what kind of conversions are counting for you, right? As we are talking about Shopify e-commerce website, the only goal we have actually is to get conversions in the pocket, right? Like we don't need to do add to cart, initiate checkout or any other unrelated things. The only thing Google Ads should optimize for is a complete purchase. It can help to collect the other data as well later for the remarketing, but you only need to have like a few primary actions that you tell the algorithm to optimize for. So make sure you do double check one of the other videos that I would recommend here after this video, how you can implement the conversion tracking code on your website. So make sure that one is a primary activity, so you optimize only for complete conversions rather than half conversions, right? So and that brings us to step number 6, observation audience. So as we know, Google is of course a very smart and interesting platform, and therefore they generate as much data from people as possible. So in this case, you can implement the data that they already generated about certain persons in an audience in your campaigns, right? So you can implement audience campaigns in, for example, a display campaign, search campaign, and a shopping campaign, but also in YouTube and Performance Max. So almost in all varieties of the campaigns in Google can be audience used. Especially I have 2 types of segmenting the audience. First of all, you can do specific targeting with all the information that you already know from the clients, but you can also tell Google Ads to observe the audiences and select the right one after you collected conversions. So especially in the beginning, I would like to always select observation, because then Google is going to tell what audience brought you the conversions. And later on, when you're going to put more budget or you have more conversions in the pocket, you can make a clear discussion and select the right one with the highest conversions counted towards it, and especially scale this audience with a larger budget, because you simply know from the algorithm and from the data-driven knowledge that this one is working, right? And before we go to step number 7, if you would like to personally see me running your Google Ads in the most profitable way, make sure you book a free audit call in the link in the description. We get an introduction there. We go over creating and scaling your campaigns in the most profitable way for e-commerce websites only. So if you want to get the introduction, click on the link down below and I see you on the winning side. Let's go over to strategy number 7. So then we will go to tip number 7. That is effectively A/B testing, right? When it comes down to the data in Google Ads, it's very important to A/B test, because not all campaign objective or strategies are the same. And it's especially good if you do an A/B test to let the data decide which one is working for your account, your keywords, your products, and so on, right? So you especially need to do this together in the A/B testing phase for your campaign. And don't create 2 separate campaigns, as they are going to compete to each other. So in the settings of a campaign, you can implement an A/B strategy, and then you can test one variable right there to make sure what is working, like after 7 or 14 days, right? So if you don't do that and you create 2 separate campaigns, you're going to bid against yourself and most likely destroy both campaigns or have a higher cost for the same results. So you don't want to create 2 separate campaigns. You always want to make sure that you use the default selection of A/B testing. And that brings us to step number 8. Make sure you use target CPA when you have enough information, right? So why is target CPA so important? After you have around 50 to 100 conversions, the algorithm in your dashboard is smart enough to do target cost per acquisition, so you can tell Google how much you are willing to spend for certain conversions. Of course, you look at the data from the history. So let's say a conversion previously cost you around 20 euros. You can play around if you implement like 22, 25 or 18 or 16 euros. So sometimes when you are bidding too low against the auction, you're not going to spend all your money. And if you're going to spend too high, you constantly spend all your money. So you want to balance this out as well as the market conditions. And this can vary like towards the year as well, towards different seasons and other competitors. So this is like a constantly management what you need to do. So make sure to implement like the new strategies what we're explaining constantly in this channel, and therefore you make sure that all the budget is spent accordingly with the highest profitable as possible. So and that brings us to strategies number 9, your daily budget. So how do you allocate your daily budget? As I previously already mentioned, you need to make sure that you constantly spend the daily budget what you selected, because if you are restricting the algorithm too much, you're not going to spend your whole budget, therefore you don't get maximum results. But if you select your campaign selection too widely with enough broad keywords, Google is going to spend like all your budget with probably a lower ROI than possible. So therefore you need to make sure that you select the right budget for your campaign time and your strategies for your products. And therefore you're going to make sure that you spend according your daily budgets. So as I previously already mentioned, you of course need to manage everything what we explained here on like 2 or 3 times a week, and therefore it's not like a sit back and relax strategy what we are going to explain here in order to get the highest return possible. And as I previously already touched on, if you restrict the algorithm too much, it's not going to spend your budget along the way. So make sure you do double check the right things at the right time, and make sure you spend the right amount as possible and don't restrict the algorithm too much. Alright, that brings us to step number 10, impression and click share. Why do clicks actually matter, right? So actually you need to select the columns search impression share and click share to see how well your ads are performing right here. These often give you an impression on how many times your ads are seen and how many people are clicking actually on your ad, right? So considering these factors, you can know the following things. You can implement and increase your budget accordingly. You can optimize your click-through rates because you simply know how many people are clicking on your ads from the people that have seen it in total. You can also improve your quality score because if you have a lot of visibility but not enough clicks, you need to make sure that your headlines are working better to improve your quality score, and might need to optimize your landing page with the same keywords as that people are searching for and that you're showing up for, right? And also you need to implement and do your proper keyword research. You can use the keyword planner in your Google Ads account to make sure that you're targeting the right keywords in your headlines as well as on your landing page and in your ad strategy. And also need to improve your ads, as I just said, from the headlines, maybe some better images to do so. So to increase the quality score, you have a higher click-through rate and therefore higher chance of being profitable. So and that brings us to tip number 11, impact on cost per click. So the cost per click is determined in the auction from Google, and the competition plays a big role here, right? So you pay actually in the auction the market price for what other people are willing to. So you need to do some proper keyword research, how much you're willing to spend and how much your others are spending, to allocate your budget accordingly for the cost per click. If more businesses want the same keyword, it's more likely to increase a lot if you are bidding the same or even higher, because other people are going to bid higher as well. So make sure you do a proper keyword research. More popular keywords are often more with a higher price, and therefore you don't need to always target the people that are searching for like a broad keyword. You can also niche down and use more keywords in the same targeting group. And that basically also means that if the competition is low for your keyword, you also have a lower price, right? So sometimes we also see that if people have less competition in the auction right here, the click-through rate can be as high as like 40%, while others have like 3 to 5% click-through rate, and on the good part around 10%, but we see as high as 40% on the niches that are less competition. So and that brings us to tip number 12, low bidding campaign. So we always suggest that you put a low bidding campaign towards the higher bidding campaigns, because sometimes if you have a lower bidding campaign, it can still show up on top. Therefore you spend less on a click and don't pay top dollar what the other people are bidding. So if you follow this strategy, you have a higher chance to increase your profitability. So you don't always need to pay top dollar to appear at the top, right? So we always implement like separate campaigns to have a lower bidding, and therefore it's not going to spend like the actual daily amount. It's spending less than your daily amount, but the chance is high that you still get conversions from here with a better ROI. Especially for your own brand name, we always make sure that we underbid for your own brand name, and therefore we still show up and get the conversions from there, right? So we don't always go in the auction for top dollar right here to make sure we generate as much profitable for our clients as possible. So and then we go to strategy number 13, what to do if the competition is low, for example. So here, low to medium competition. If there's no competition, you rather do this and you want to spend less for a click than the auction actually tells you to do, because then you increase the ROI, as I said previously as well. And this is especially true if you have less than 7 people in the competition bidding on the same keywords, right? Because in this way, with a lower competition, you can still show up on the auction for a lower bid. You can test this on different strategies in your account and test different ads with a lower cost per click, right? You can do manual bidding and underbid the market price and still see if you show up with the search impression share and the click rate. Remember, this only works with very targeted and narrow keywords, and only if the competition is not as popular, so not on broad keywords where Google is selecting more keywords in the same category, right? And that brings us to step number 14, Google Display Network. So You need to always implement your Google Display Network, especially for remarketing, so you remind the visitors that have been on your website to visit your website again and might as well purchase from that. So the Google Display Network is a really good sample to do so. This doesn't really work to find like new customers. It always finds the right people that have visited on your website and as well make a conversion. So it works less for like a cold audience from our experience. Think of it like this, for example, if you guided 100 people with paid traffic to your website and like 4 or 5 of them convert, you still have 95% of the people left that didn't convert yet. So if we show them like display campaigns, they are highly likely to convert, maybe 4 or 5 extra of them. So you certainly have more revenue from the same people that you targeted in the first place. Because first place targeting like cold audience can be quite expensive, but running like remarketing campaigns such as the display ones are much cheaper and you only pay for the click. So if you show up but they don't click, you don't pay for it. So that's actually a very good idea to implement as remarketing. And one thing I need to explain right here as well. So you remarket them on all the platforms that Google has to offer, as well as on third-party websites. So not just basically on one. So Google actually implemented the cookies and follow the targeting in the Google Analytics. So if you share this data in the Google Ads, you get a high chance to remarket the same people on literally all the places that they are looking for things on Google with your images and banners. So that brings us to tip number 15, the effectiveness of your ad targeting. So you always need to make sure that you target the right people in order to make the chance as high as possible that you convert them on your website, right? So Google offers a wide variety of different reports, especially where you can find the conversion people that have been converting on your website, for example. You can find their genders, their age, the device that they converted on, as well as like a mobile, desktop or tablet. You can see the place of living, and therefore you can create more ads based around that. And also you need to invest like more time to see all these reports and to recraft your ad copies, for example, with the keywords that converted or the language that this audience is speaking towards, right? So can you imagine if you have like 100 items and only 10 of them are best selling, you can exclude the 90 ones that are not selling and implement only the strategy to sell the 10 best-selling items you have right there, and therefore you exclude all the things that are not working. Especially you target this for the people that have been converting for this website, and therefore you can make sure that you earn as much profitable with the highest ROI as possible from Google Ads. So make sure to check this report quite often, reframe your strategies, rewrite your ad copies, and implement all the data that's given back to you by the Google Ads dashboard. It's better for the conversion optimization from the ads, and therefore you are willing to spend more budget on a higher ROI from this Google Ads strategy. So, and that wraps up the 15 strategies that we implement nowadays for our 30 plus e-commerce clients to make them literally more profit every single day. My name is Robin, I'm the owner of Robtronic Media, and that's the agency where we run profitable Google Ads for more than 30 plus websites. If you need any help by creating or scaling your Google Ads in a profitable way, make sure to click on the link in the description and book a free introduction call with me. If you want to learn more from my e-commerce knowledge, you can also click the other link in the description for my e-commerce knowledge center, where I share literally all the strategies that make me, for my own website, as well as for our 30 plus clients, more profit on a daily basis. And these are things that you can implement today for your own e-commerce website. Without further ado, let's see the recommendation videos right here, and I wish you a perfect day.